What's up, guys? I'm Crystal Lee Naomi, aka Jasmine Borders on Tyler Perry's Sisters. Be sure to subscribe to the Haves and the Have-Nots review for not only reviews on the Haves and the Have-Nots, but also on Sistas. And while you're at it, give your girl a follow on Instagram at Crystal Lee Naomi. And I'll see you every Wednesday at 9, only on BET.
Alright, Sistas fans, it's almost like every time I say I'm done with videos until the next episode, I read the comments on one of my previous videos and people want me to talk about another subject that I addressed, but they want me to expound upon it a little further. In the video, well actually in the episode review for last week, as well as the, who will save Andi from Jasmine's wrath video, I talked about how, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if Gary was like, following Andi, because of the fact that it just seemed a bit too easy. I'm not used to seeing, and I feel, well, not just me, but I don't think we as a fan base and audience, viewers, I don't think we're used to seeing this calm, almost zen, if you will, Gary. Because usually we'll see this side of Gary last, but like a third of a scene, and then he's back to being an asshole. So before going further into the subject of the video, please take a moment to hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content to the channel. And follow me on social media. Links are in that description box below. And remember, I'm trying to get the viewership up on the subscriber side, trying to reach at least 40% of my viewership to come from my subscribers. So if you frequently watch the videos, go ahead and commit. Just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's going to help out more than you can imagine. So you got to look at multiple things here, because I remember talking about how I didn't think the ring was manipulative of Gary. The whole forever ring crap that, gets tighter when it's put on. It's almost like, if you look at that as, yeah, Gary's definitely manipulating Andi. It's like, one moment he's doing something sweet, but then the next moment you see the toxicity of his actions shine through. Oh, I'm going to give you the ring. Oh, there's a, I guess you could say, a secondary effect to it. If you put the ring on your own accord, then I want to grip you tight. So it's almost like he's, and I hate to use this like, they're dogs here, but it's almost like it seems like Gary has added more length or rope to the leash he has Andi on. Just because there's a leash, just because her leash is longer doesn't mean that Gary still isn't holding on to her. So I'm wondering if, Gary is indeed following Andi to kind of track her movements. Is like, oh, you said you're going here, I just want to make sure you go there. It's kind of like, let's say if she made a pit stop or something on the way to work, who's to say that he wouldn't automatically assume that she was messing around with, let's say, Paris. Like, who are you with, Andi? Who are you talking to? Who's that guy? And it just seems interesting to me. Keep in mind, we don't know what kind of vehicle Gary's driving, because remember, Jasmine, trashed his car towards the end of season 1. And we saw the interior of what he was driving in the last episode, but we didn't see the outside of it. Now, when Andi was driving, we saw, some vehicles behind her, obviously green screen stuff. But at the same time, it makes me wonder, okay, is he following her? Because it's going to raise about a lot of suspicion if, let's say, Jasmine and the girls start to beat down Andi, but then Gary comes to her rescue. I know some people are like, Gary couldn't take down all 3. I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you gotta remember last time Jasmine had a baseball bat, Gary was trying to de-escalate the situation. So I'm guessing that regardless, he would try to save Andi somehow. So I'm just, keeping that into consideration. So on the one hand, if Gary does show up, Andi's going to be happy, but on the downside of that, it's like, oh my God, you saved me, but how did you get here so quick? You said you were about 30 minutes away. But like I said in my other video, we don't know the distance between Andi's job, the parking garage, and Andi when she was driving. Like, I wouldn't imagine she would have a long commute to work. However, we honestly don't really know how far any of these women are from their jobs. I mean, I know Preston is the only character to my knowledge who has mentioned, yeah, it's about an hour or so drive for me to get to work, you know, with the family. So I do think that if Gary wasn't behind Andi, he was damn near close. So he, you know, could kind of follow things because, you know, the way he said, don't worry, well, I'll come to the job. I was like, oh yeah, you're right, I can't come by there. Well, I can have, you know, you can have Fatima come get the ring and everything. But I do feel like it wouldn't surprise me if Gary was indeed following Andi around town. It's just way too coincidental. Like, you know, he said he was going to leave town. He said he was going to do this. He said he was going to do that. And I'm wondering if Gary does save Andi from Jasmine, will the whole divorce paper thing be mentioned? Like, you know, the fact that I feel like we all think that Andi's in more danger because Jasmine could possibly see the ring that's on her finger. And remember, it wasn't intentional for her to get it on because she wants to get it off. But crazy ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife doesn't really care about that. So let's say if Gary shows up to save Andi, you know, Jasmine's going to be like, oh, you really left me for this bitch. So you would possibly think that Gary saving Andi will actually put him in more danger because seeing him with Andi in front of her will possibly make her even more deranged. So I do feel like Gary coming to Andi's rescue would mean a couple of things. Number one, Andi might be even more suspicious because of the fact that, wait, Gary, you got here a lot quicker than you said. Were you following me around? And then also it'll just make Jasmine even more enraged because she'll literally see her husband holding on to another woman. So on both sides of the spectrum, Gary is going to be screwed. And not in the way that he hopes for. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think Gary was actually following Andi? And that could be a reason why he shows up in the nick of time to save Andi from a 3-1 beatdown. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts below. And if you would like to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.